All right, let's start with Chicago. Dagen, Sean, that's a very interesting backdrop for this economic speech. What do you make of that?
Well, first off, this is a foreshadowing of what's to come if Joe Biden is successful implementing his policies. It's economic disaster. People are fleeing. We've seen the African-American community of Chicago are leaving the city and going other places that are more free with more opportunity. Biden's talking about Bidenomics. What he believes in is more government spending, more rules, more regulation, more government control. And we know that if you want to grow an economy, you need lower taxes, streamline regulations, so there's more ability to innovate and create new products, start new businesses, which in the end creates more jobs, more economic growth, and then more tax revenue for the federal coffers.
I want to pull up a cool chart for you, Dagen, which is corporate bankruptcies are rising. We're near some of the highs that we haven't seen since March of 2020. On a 4-week moving average, you go back, and now we're near the highest, almost there, since 2008. What is the risk that you tie your name to this? You call it Bidenomics, but as we go to the polls next fall, we could be in a recession, and you're starting to see maybe the economy turn over a little bit.
Likely in a recession. He brags about the unemployment rate, he and all of the cronies in his administration. But you see the weekly jobless claims now above 250,000 per week. They're the highest that they've been since October of 2021. I believe you also see, and we were talking about this on the show yesterday, that Warren Act, these are notices of impending mass layoffs. They're the highest they've been since the Great Recession in 2008. Ford announcing a big layoff yesterday. That was in the Wall Street Journal. The corporate bankruptcies are part of the interest rate increases from the Federal Reserve that Stephanie Pomboy has been writing about so much. So you have inflation that's hammering people and companies on one hand, and then you have the interest rate increases to fight the inflation out of the Federal Reserve on the other hand, and it's a vice grip. And so the Fed might have paused, but you have adjustable rate mortgages, you're feeling the interest rate increases. You're getting a new home loan, you feel the interest rate increases. You got credit card debt, you got a car loan. And then on the corporate side, that's what's happening to corporations, or even more impact down the road is having to roll over debt, and you will feel the squeeze. So all of this adds up to a recession, maybe late this year, early next year.
So just to follow on that, because I'm watching him speak right now, and I'm thinking to myself, what are they thinking when they plan this event? He's not only touting his economic record that has created record high inflation, has really hurt the American consumer, but he's also pitching more spending, which is what got us in this hole in the first place.
All the problems that put us in the situation, Joe Biden is now repitching again to say, let's do more of this. Let me finish the job. Real wages are down, right? And you look at Joe Biden, his poll numbers are at 40%. And most people say their biggest concern is the economy. But Joe Biden wants to run on the economy. Listen, I spent 9 years in politics. You run on the things that people love about you, that they like about you, not the things they don't like about you. You can talk about this until you're blue in the face, but you can't repitch people's reality by telling them it's something different. Their reality is real.
Is he speaking to the people that he gave freebies to and hoping that they're going to vote for him because they're saying, you're just going to give me more? No. That's great.
No, I think that they believe, that they can brazenly lie to the American people. And since Afghanistan, they've spoken to everyone as if we're stupid and that we don't understand how inflation is created. That you heard Shalonda Young, who's the head of the OMB, bragging about all of their accomplishments and their legislative agenda. The fact that they would coin the term Bidenomics and attach the name of a president who is so deeply unlikable and profoundly disliked, and try and come up with a term to describe a policy that is even more disliked than him, to think that two losers make a winner, that's how stupid and blind they are to the truth.
Brian, it was interesting. I talked about a Pew Research poll conducted about a week ago where they said a lot of Democrats aren't voting on inflation. They're voting on, what was it, crime rates. They're voting on sort of other issues, gun violence, you name it. But it's an abortion. It's not necessarily been the inflation story.
The other terms available for Bidenomics were not TV friendly, Dagen. That's why they had to go with Bidenomics. But the thing,
sack of crap, steaming sack of crap.
I should have set you up for that. Now I set you up for that. But here's the thing. Here's what's absent in all of this. Bidenomics is about spending, taxation, and regulation. The one thing it is not about, Sean, is growth. That's what we're missing here. And if you're talking about helping people at the bottom get a leg up, you got to have a growing economy.
And Reaganomics were about lower taxes, less regulation, which stimulated growth and innovation, which we talked about at the start of the segment. And again, he's doing the exact opposite. This is about free enterprise. This is about real capitalism that Joe Biden is getting wrong. And you can run into the fumes of capitalism and free enterprise for a while and have massive spending, but that runs out real quick. And I think we're starting to see that right now.
I want to quickly talk about the big special that you guys are doing tonight,
And it
all
is
about
big.
the decline of the American cities. You mentioned it at the top of the show, right? People leaving blue cities in droves. I was reading the story yesterday about Black Americans leaving and actually even heading down south. How does that shape the way you guys are going to have your conversations tonight?
Well, you mentioned they're leaving liberal cities where there's more crime and less opportunity and going to Republican-led cities or states where there's more opportunity and more safety and security where they haven't defunded the police. So we have a special tonight. Dagen?
It's called Vision for America's Future, but we go back and look at our founding principles and those guaranteed freedoms that make this country so special and look ahead. We're going to fix the country in an hour. We have a special guest.
don't want to miss this.
I'll be there.
We have special guests. Dan Crenshaw is going to lead us off, so we can't wait to talk to him about that.
We'll be watching.
Fixing the country as efficiently as possible. That's pretty good.
Just really quickly, what's frightening is this administration admires China. They see their own version of China in the United States, and that's got to stop.
Scary. That is scary.
Thanks, guys. You got to watch this. Be sure to tune into the special edition of The Bottom Line tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Vision for America's Future with Dagen and Sean. Thank you very much, folks.